United States currently incarcerates 2.4 million people. That's almost a quarter of the world's entire prison population. And of these people, these 2.4 million, 95% will be released at some point in time. Now, currently, we know that about 725,000 individuals are released from prison back into society every single year. That's a lot of people, especially when we consider that almost 45% of them will return to prison within just 3 years of being released. Now, to me, these numbers speak to a fundamental failure of the American criminal justice system, because we are not only A, locking up more of our own citizens than any other developed nation in the world, but we are then B, returning those same citizens back to prison. So this is a problem, obviously, and it's one that's been bothering me for a while. But it wasn't until recently that I was able to finally do something about it. This past year, I worked for an organization. It's a nonprofit located in New York City. It's called Education from the Inside Out Coalition, which I'll call EIO for short. Now, EIO, its main goal is to eliminate barriers to higher education for currently and formerly incarcerated individuals. And EIO is revolutionary for a number of reasons, but perhaps most notably is its call to action and its message that one's past does not necessarily have to determine one's future. Because EIO understands that mass incarceration is neither a long-term nor a viable solution for criminal activity. And what they propose is a rather radical alternative solution. Instead of being tough on crime, we should get smart on crime. We should educate, not incarcerate. Because there's been significant research showing that the more education a formerly incarcerated person achieves, the less likelihood they have of returning to prison. A study conducted by Center for Community Alternatives actually showed that once people achieved their master's degree, they had less than a 1% chance of being reincarcerated. So what does this tell us? Well, firstly, it seems to imply that education is one of the most powerful weapons we have when combating crime. Not only is it successful, it's also cost effective, and it helps to reduce first-time crime, recidivism, and poverty. Yet, when individuals with criminal histories apply for college in New York State, almost 66% of them cannot complete the application process. So why was this happening? Well, EIO wanted to find out. So they teamed up with Center for Community Alternatives. And what they found was this. They found that there was a very simple yet significant piece of the college application that was standing in the way. And what it was this, the criminal history question. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you have a criminal history, you must check the box that coincides with this question on the college application. And of the 273 schools that Center for Community Alternatives surveyed, almost 70% require that their applicants answer questions about criminal convictions. So for these applicants, this process was very discouraging because they sensed an implication from this question that really came with it the idea of, we don't want you here, don't come to school here. We want to identify you simply so that we can reject you. So not only were these applicants dealing with the detrimental emotional impact of that, but they were then dealing with the very real impact of having to go through complex, lengthy, sometimes impossible supplemental processes that go hand in hand with checking the box on the college application. So when you think about it, it's really no wonder that almost 2/3 of them could simply not complete the process. And when EIO realized that this was the problem, immediately began strategizing on how to fix it. So while I was at EIO, I was able to work on one of their major campaigns, something called Ban the Box. In this case, the box refers to the question about criminal history on college applications. And EIO is advocating that we should be removing this question from the application because, they argue, not only is it discouraging, but it's actually flat out discriminatory. We have no research showing any benefits of including a question like this on the college application process. However, we do have research showing the detrimental effects this question can have on potential students. So while I was at EIO, I got to do a few different things. I was able to meet with legislators. I was in the room. I got to talk with them, hear how they think, hear how they speak, what they say versus what they actually mean. I was able to do community outreach, and I met the people who this issue directly affects. And what I saw was fear, frustration, and sadness. And I knew that if we did not speak for them, their voices would likely go unheard. I researched, and I researched, and I researched. And I came up with fact sheets and policy memos and policy reports so that we could be as prepared as possible to combat the narratives that our opponents crafted because it benefits them to keep people in prison. Now, I think Nelson Mandela said it best when he said that education is one of the most powerful weapons we have to change the world. And that's something that EIO understands very well. And it's something that they're working to convince everyone else of, too. Thank you so much.